go back to the wrench. And let's say I don't know where auto attendants are. I'm going to go to auto attendants. There's auto attendant right there. And here are all my auto attendants on the top. The VCI main auto attendant is the one that I showed you the programming of. You can see it's extension 1400. We can look at the schedule. We can see all the buttons at the bottom. We have on hours, off hours, holiday, and custom modes. So let's go to the on hours. I'm going to come to the right here and expand this screen so we can see it in a larger view. What we're looking at is the Verteks main auto attendant. At the top, I have a text box where I have typed in the script of the menu. It's not text to speech. We just have it there as a reference point so we know what our options are. You can see option 0 goes to the help desk. That's that 0 out we talked about. So if you call our main auto attendant, you don't want to press any options, you hit 0, it goes right to support. You'll get one of our support team members. There's 4 or 5 of them live, ready to go on the phone all the time. Average speed of answer, 6 to 8 seconds. Literally, it's that quick on average. That gets you there. Option 1, we reserved. We're not using that. Option 2 goes to the sales hunt group. I've thought about having service first, but when I changed the auto attendant once to put service first, everybody kind of just kept pressing the sales department because they were used to that. So the service department or sales department is option 2. The service department is this option 3. The accounting group is option 4. And we also have an option 5, which is for emergency support. What we don't have is an option 6. So I'm going to create a new one. Here's option 6. Here are all my choices. First name and last name, go to extension, menu, and so on. So what I'm going to do is choose a go to extension. Here's where I can type in the destination. In the destination, I can put a user. I can put a hunt group. I can put a work group. I can put a contact center entry point called an IRN. So those are all my options. I'm going to type in, let's do Don's cordless. I start typing in Don's cordless because I have a cordless phone in my office in addition to my landline. I check that. Now when somebody dials in, they choose option 6. It's going to go to my cordless phone as long as I hit save, right? So that's an option. I'm going to cancel that and not have it go to my cordless phone. Let's go to off hours. In off hours, when somebody calls us, this is after we close, 0 goes to a hidden extension that rings the phones in the office to see if anybody's here. It's the way it's always been. If they don't answer, it goes to this hard down mailbox. So we have a special mailbox that we've configured. It has our on-call team on it. You leave them a voicemail. The on-call team is notified both by receiving a phone call, receiving an app alert on their cell phone, receiving an email, and a text message. So they get notified. But that's the way the after hours one works. Also on after hours, you see here the pound prompt. That allows an external caller like me from a landline to access my voicemail. Say I'm at my wife's parents' house or grandma's home, and I don't have my cell phone or my battery's dead. I can pick up a landline, dial the main number, hit that pound key, type in my extension and password. I'm writing my voicemail. I can listen to my voicemail and so on. So in on-hours mode, it works on the on-hours schedule. That's the schedule right there. I'll show that in a second. Off hours is anything but on hours. Holiday has its own schedule. So let me go to my on-hour schedule. I'm leaving the page. It knows I made changes I did not save. That was the Don's cordless. That's fine. I'm not going to save those. So here's our on-hour schedule. You can see it at the bottom. I'll make this a little bit larger. Let me zoom in some. So our on-hour schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time. That's our setting. If I want to add, I just click Add, and I can put a different one on there. I can have overlapping schedules. What I mean by that is some people want to say they have a lunch break in the middle of the day. I've seen this a lot with small medical offices or other, professional services offices. They're open from 8 to noon and 1 to 5. You can accomplish that here. Just remember when you're looking at these schedules, we've had a lot of support calls where people have kind of shot themselves in the foot by having these overlapping or nesting schedules, but you can do that. I'm going to shrink this down again. Let me look at my on hours right there. So off hours is anything that's not in on hours. It's just that simple, not complicated at all. Go back to my auto attendants, go to the Verteks main auto attendant, go to off hours. That's what they'll hear, off hours. Holiday, totally different. Holiday schedules can be managed years in advance. So I click on the holiday schedule, and it shows all my holidays: Memorial Day, Independence Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and I can set those far in advance. I can set them for 3-4 years out, no problem. Keep in mind, on auto attendant for holiday mode, it's a whole day, not a portion of a day. So if you close at noon on Christmas Eve, what you'll need to do is in your auto attendant on the on-hour schedule, kind of the week before, right? You'll go to, and you'll say, okay, let's say it was Friday, we're going to close at 12 on Christmas Eve. And then when you come back the week after, you'll need to change it back to its regular hours. That's how you get a half a day, and kind of the only way to get a half day on a holiday. Holiday schedules are really kind of all or none, all day or none of the day. So back to the Verteks main auto attendant. I want to show you the last couple of quick things. In the automated attendant, you have some options at the bottom. One is timeout. What that means is the user pressed no keys. They listened and they didn't press anything. What do you want to do? You want to repeat the prompt. That's typical. They press keys, but those keys don't work. They're dialing your phone system and they're pressing random numbers. If there's too many of those errors, we always recommend hang up. And the reason is because hackers are dialing into phone systems, experimenting to try to get into people's voicemail so they can break into their voicemail and use it in a phishing or a hack attack. So we always want to recommend on these too many errors. If they key in an invalid entry, again, we want to repeat the prompt. Or in a Mitel world, they type in a 4-digit extension, we want to go to that extension. One more thing. You have the option under Preferences to record your greetings using either the computer or the telephone. So you want to change your greeting. You type in the extension. I hit Save. Now when I go to record a greeting, my phone will ring. I can literally record it right then, and it plays it. I'm not going to do that, and the reason is because we had a professional recording for hours. I'll let you hear it, if you can hear it closely.
Thank you for calling Verteks Consulting, a leading provider of computer networks and telephone systems for business and government.
So that's enough. You get the idea. If you want to have your greetings professionally recorded, it's very inexpensive these days. We have a great voice talent. That's a company we use called Worldly Voices. They can do the whole thing for, a couple $100. Sounds great. Any kind of voice you want, multiple languages, male and female voices. It's really a good service and not that expensive. So those are my comments on auto attendants. I want to jump out of this and I want to go into caller ID for a minute. So let's look at caller ID. The question was, how do you determine caller ID? What are the caller ID options, and how do you set them? Caller ID is set in several ways. One way is at the user level. So let me go to my user level. I check on me. Let me expand this. And this is my user in Mitel. When you come down here, you'll see caller ID overwrite DID. What number do you want to put out? I am actually, when I dial someone, instead of giving my direct dial number, I give them the main line number. There's a lot of reasons for that. The primary one is I'm concerned that if somebody saves my direct dial number and they call me on that thinking they're going to get me and I'm out of the office, they leave me a voicemail, I might not get her for a day. I might be traveling. I really want customers to get service more rapidly. I know if they dial the main number, they can more easily get someone. So that's my reason. But if you choose not to overwrite this, if I delete this, it's going to outpulse my DID. That's my 10-digit number because it's right here. I have a 10-digit DID, 352-482-1450. That's my number. So that's going to outpulse my DID. Now, on this caller ID overwrite, this is not a free-form text field or number field where you can put in anything you like. You can't put in the number to the White House, or you can't put in the number to Papa John's Pizza. It doesn't work that way. The reason is because telephone companies are looking out for things like voice hacking or number hacking or voice spamming. They don't want people doing it. So when you pick up your phone and dial outbound, the telephone network is going to check the caller ID you're trying to put out, like in this case, my DID or my main number. And it's going to check to see if that number is owned by my service, by this company. So if I put in here 352-555-1212, right, it won't outpulse that. I'll dial, and it'll give my main number. The reason is I don't own that number. The telephone company knows it. The telephone company will not allow me to push out something that's not mine. So that's user settings for caller ID. Let me go back to another phone. Let's pick Brittany. So Brittany also overriding her caller ID. That's kind of the way we're doing it here. Here's Chuck or Christian, kind of same deal. We're overriding that DID. Now, in your situation, you may decide you want to pulse out the DIDs. It's very common. Just have that blank, and it will pulse out their DID. A couple other things you can do there. In your sites, right, for caller ID, you have a site caller ID. So what I did was I went to System, Sites, and I go to the sites I've got. Here I'm at my HQ location. Then down at the bottom, I'll maximize this. Here's all my HQ site settings. At the bottom, you see there's a Caller Emergency Service Identification ID, or CSID. What this is when anyone dials 911, this is the number it provides to 911's PSAP. So even if I have my DID going out for caller ID, if I dial 911, it doesn't give them my DID, it gives them my CSID. That's so that emergency responders know exactly where to go, because this number is tied to my billing telephone number, which is tied to my physical address. I can also type in other things, operator extension, and so on. But remember, that's the way you're essentially overriding caller ID, because you're changing it here to be at a CSID. So that's another way that caller ID works. So those are the caller ID options I wanted to show to you. I also want to quickly touch on another thing that was asked about in a question and answer period, and that is reporting. I was asked about how to get some basic report data not using Brightmetrics. So I'm going to click on reports, and I'm going to show you the built-in reports that are here. There's about a dozen. And yeah, Michelle, I see yours. Where's the permission for the operator to see the number of a contact is on? I'll give you that here in just a second, Michelle. So call detail reports is about a dozen canned reports built in the Mitel system. I'll click on user activity detail report. I can click in, here says enter the extension or range of extensions you want to report on. I'm going to click add, and I'm going to go 1450 to 1450. That's me, that's my extension. Date start today, date end today, time start all day. I'm also going to show internals, run report. This is going to show me a call detail report of all my calls, internal and external, from today, from my phone. So you see today I've had 22 phone calls. Keep in mind, I've also been out of the office today for about 5 hours in meetings, 3 different meetings. So I make a lot of phone calls, 22 so far today. Not very long, only about 14 minutes, but a lot of them. So that's my call detail report for a user. You can see it's really easy to do. You click a trunk activity detail. This will show me all the calls placed in the entire organization today if I want to see that one. So this will show everybody in the company, inbound and outbound. Trunks are phone lines. So it'll show all those trunk calls. It's a 7-page long report. You can see all the calls. I can take this and export it into Crystal, PDF, Excel. Let's go to Excel. And once it's exported, I can pull it up in Excel and edit it to my heart's content. As you know, you got all kinds of options in Excel to filter, auto filter, and so on. Zoom in here, make it a little easier to read for everybody. Shows the call report range, what service it was, the date, the time, the telephone line or the trunk that it was on. And I can easily search, if I want to search for a specific number. So let me go to a sort and filter and turn it on. And then I can say dialed number. Show me anybody that dialed a number that contained A477. Nobody called that number today. That's my cell phone. Let's see anybody that dialed 1460, and I can see there was 3 calls made to 1460. Those are inbound calls. As you can see, they're calling from here into John because it says inbound right there. So that's a good way to get some basic reports out of the system without using Brightmetrics if that's what you want to do. So one of the questions that popped in here I want to address is user settings, and I want to talk about class of service. So the question was, where is the permission for the operator to see the number a contact is on? The first thing is the user. So let me go to the user and go to me. And in mine, I'll zoom in. And what you see here is user group. This is the group to which I belong. I belong to a group called Don User Group. It's unusual to have a user group with one person in it. I did it this way for demo reasons, but I have my own user group with my own permissions. Typically, they're grouped together, like Verteks users, training users, test group, Paul group. You get the idea. If I click on go to this user group, that's where I'll see my call permissions. So I'm going to click on go to user group. I'm going to make this large as well. And now in here it tells me class of service, telephony, class of service, call permissions. Those are the primary things that you're going to look at. So I'm going to go to telephony class of service. And in my telephony class of service, here's all my options, all the things I can do. There's a lot in here, but this is the one that you're looking for, Michelle. Show caller ID, name and number for other extensions. So I do want you to remember, this is a 2-step process. Number 1, you have to have this box checked in the class of service telephony feature permissions for the user or that group. And the user has to have an operator client license. If both of those are done, it will show that in the communicator window. So I do hope that answers your question. I generally don't show this off a lot, and the reason is it's pretty busy information in here. But you can go around in here. It's fairly safe. You won't make a lot of mistakes. It's hard to kind of break it. While we're in here, I'll show you the last couple of quick things as our time runs out. Let's see here. Allow extension reassignment. This is a good one if you don't want to allow people to send their phone to an offsite number. For example, I can assign my phone to my cell phone number, walk out the door. Anybody calls my direct line, my cell phone rings, not my desktop phone. Some people don't like that. You can turn it off, group-wide or user-wide. Allow customization of IP phone buttons and client monitor windows. This is one where people want a lot of control. If you're in a call center environment or a very structured environment and you want users to have what they have and not change it, maybe you don't want to allow them to customize their buttons. You uncheck it. allow to show call history. You can disable the ability for someone to show their call history. Lastly, some kind of directed intercom, whisper page, barge in, call recording, and monitor. These are very tricky. I'd always recommend making sure that you double check that you've got exactly what you need before you implement it. That said, there's a hierarchy for allowing initiation on those things. And what I mean there is basically planning is paramount. Matt, yeah, you're good to go. Matt asked me a question. I want to let him know he's good to go. Last thing on here is the scope of these calls. I can say I want local only, national, long distance, all calls. Do I want to restrict it? All kinds of things. So that's where permissions are. To answer your question, Michelle, I hope that addressed it. You're going to go to the user, their class of service telephony for their group or their individual setting, and you're going to do show caller ID name and number for other extensions. I'll continue to monitor the Q&A panel and the chat panel. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you. I'll stick around for a few more minutes. I want to thank everybody that joined, especially want to thank those that submitted content ahead of time that they like covered, because I showed some things I normally don't show because of your feedback. So please keep in mind that Jeff Bowling, our client success advocate, me, Trey, Derek, Matt, John, all of us, Brittany, all of us take your input to customize these trainings. Definitely feel free to email me or any of us, or let Jeff know. We'll absolutely include what you want in future training sessions. We have another one in March and one every month of the year, the rest of the year. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to post it on YouTube, and that will be on our YouTube channel here by tomorrow. Again, thanks everybody for joining. I will stick around for the next 3-4 minutes monitoring chat and questions just in case, but that concludes the content for now. Everybody have a great day.